Running a Fever, episode 419, Mount Nebo State Park, Bench Road Trail, part 2. Here we are, it's the last day of April 2025. And we're southbound on the Bench Road Trail from the parking area. I don't know what they call the parking area, but it's a parking area just south of the Overlook, the Bench Overlook, which is beautiful, and I got some good shots of that yesterday. Texted them out to a few people. And so today we're going south. I suppose the Bench Road Trail, if it's a continuous trail, technically goes across the road there, because the only thing between the 2 points is a road, and this is actually on the other side of the road, which makes sense. At some point, the access road, which is Highway 155, has to cross the Bench Road Trail if it's a continuous trail, and that's where it does. So we're on the other side of the road, and we're on the Bench Road Trail, which looks just as wide and relatively flat. We are on an incline right now, and there will probably be several inclines and declines along the way. It is about 6:45 in the morning. Wanted to get out earlier today. Several reasons. One, of course, I like to have the trail to myself, although yesterday we only saw 3 people, one cyclist and 2 runners or joggers. So not a lot of people, but it was still pretty early in the day. So you may see some folks. I saw one truck in the parking lot. So presumably that's one person that's going to be around here somewhere. And I wanted to start early for the temperature, and it's 60 degrees out here, so it's pretty cool, but it's humid. The Weather Channel said 91% humidity today, and it was definitely humid yesterday. I came back to the cabin, and I was just soaked from head to foot with sweat. So it was definitely internally hot, even if the temperature was probably in the high 70s, low 80s. Final reason was weather predictions. And I had seen it before on the 10-day that we're going to have possibly evening rain today, and then thunderstorms tomorrow morning, and possible rain the next day in the morning. And then I looked this morning for some more updated information. And it turns out there's a possibility of tornadoes, maybe not exactly here, but somewhere in the middle United States. Tornadoes, flash floods, severe thunderstorms. Starting in PM, so afternoon, evening. Interesting rock formation there. And a few rocks on the trail here. Yesterday in Springfield, Missouri, a few hours north of here, there was a tornado, and 91 mile per hour winds reported at the Springfield Branson Airport. Meanwhile, not related to this necessarily, is a one-day blackout in Europe. I think Western Europe, Spain, Portugal. People were celebrating on the streets, probably people who have been stranded for some reason, because when the power goes out, the traffic lights go out, and they were hoping it got fixed before sundown, because it was going to be potentially cool and people use electric heat. It might have a problem. But pretty widespread area, not just a power line down, you know, something else going on there in Western Europe. So interesting to hear. May follow up on that, figure out what that was exactly. But here, had power all night, so I was able to charge my phone and camera. Birds are pretty loud right now. I started hearing them just before sunrise. Sunrise was predicted to be 6:22 a.m. this morning. I got up about 5:15, 5:30. I'm a snoozer, so alarm goes off at 5:15, and I don't get up until 5:30. A lot of signs here. It says Varnell Spring, and I don't see any water. In the late 1800s, Varnell Spring was used to supply water for the town of Dardanelle. A series of pipes carried the water down to storage tanks at Dardanelle Rock. While the Civilian Conservation Corps worked on Mount Nebo in the 1930s, they found the remains of some of these pipes. And it says, caption for the picture, gaze up from here and locate Sunrise Point, one of the park's spectacular vantage points. Compare today's landscape to the same view captured by the CCC in 1934. And there it is, Sunrise Point. How about that? Yeah, we're not far below the top of the mountain. Sunrise Point, they have camping, parking, and supposedly a great place to view the sunrise. My watch has figured out that I'm walking. So I figure it won't take long for me to get warmed up. 60s, not too cool to start out with. Didn't bring anything really long sleeved except maybe one t-shirt to wear around the house. So I saw the highs predicted in the 80s all week long, so I figured I wouldn't need anything like that, and I think that's true. Didn't have any trouble yesterday, physically, or in any other way. See, the sun's really starting to shine through the trees over there. And more rocks over on this side. But so far it's a beautiful day at Mount Nebo. Although we might have a tornado or severe thunderstorms later today. Large hail is predicted. But I should be safely back in my cabin long before then. Didn't really have a lot of itching last night, so I guess mosquitoes didn't get me too bad. It's like another trail here down below us. Smaller. I think this is the biggest, widest, easiest trail in this park. I'm gonna get this camera as tight on my head as possible so it doesn't jiggle that much, but there's gonna be some jiggling. So yeah, I felt pretty good last night. Didn't have to take any Advil or anything like that. So figure today we'll do same thing, an hour out, an hour back, and it should be fine. It's good that when I did my turnaround and ended the show, I was glad to know that I'd captured an hour of 4K video. This camera doesn't have removable battery, so I have to rely on one charge for the whole time, and I was able to get quite a bit of video for you if you're watching on YouTube. runningafever.com/YouTube. If you're not. There's a whole playlist there on state parks. If you want to see all of the ones I've been to. Here, Devil's Den, Mountain Magazine, Queen Wilhelmina State Park I've been to. Hobbs State Park, been to twice. So there are quite a few that I have video there that you can watch and see what the trails look like. And I like when I was, when I'm looking at a park in a cabin, I want to know what the cabin looks like inside and out. And when I first started doing this, I had trouble finding that information online. Just had to search for it. I've got some kind of bug buzzing around. I don't know why bugs like humans. And look at this. Got a picnic table and some type of flat area over here. I don't know. maybe for a picnic or something. But first it reminded me of a golf green. Anyway, little fire pit there. Grill on it. Campsite number 1, I guess. Maybe that's a campsite. I think maybe campsites 1 through 4 are up here. Hike-in campsites. If you're into camping. I don't know if I'm so much into camping. I like having my hot shower every day. I know there are bathhouses in some camp areas, but you know. For some reason there's mosquitoes around here like crazy. Buzzing around my ears. I never seem to run out of energy. There's another campsite. If you're into camping, you get a nice view of the campsites along this trail. Campsite number 2. I didn't see any yesterday, but we didn't get far enough yesterday on the bench trail to see the campsites that are on the northeast part of the trail. Note to self, next time I come this late in the year, bring some bug spray. Trying to swat these bugs away. Hit the camera. Yesterday it wasn't much of a problem until I came upon that, what they call a lake. Today they're just all over me all the way. There's campsite number 3. It doesn't look like they're that far from the parking area. So, pretty easy to get to. Blue blazes on the Bench Road Trail. Must have a whole swarm of mosquitoes following me at this point. I guess sucking blood gives you a lot of energy to fly around. The trip back yesterday was quicker than the trip out. I guess when I'm not filming and talking, I walk a little slower. It only took me 45 or 50 minutes to get back from the 1 hour outward bound trip. So walked a bit faster on the way back. You can hear the rush hour traffic a little bit from here. Not like on Mount Magazine where you're, oh, by the way, I think this is about 1,800 feet where the park is on top of the mountain. I think I saw a sign that said that, 1,800 feet, whereas Mount Magazine is 2,800 feet. So a big difference there. but you can't hear the traffic from the top of Mount Magazine. And last time I was there, certainly traffic on the roads up at the top of the mountain you could hear during the early hours of a morning on a Monday, but sometimes hard to distinguish from the wind. So thanks to thunderstorms and rain, this will probably be my last hike of this trip. So I went farther than I thought I would yesterday, because on the way back I noticed the Sunset Connector, which connects the Bench Road Trail with Sunset Point, which is the opposite end of the park from Sunrise Point, which we just looked up at. And so that's definitely farther than I thought I would get. After this one, should I continue the series, I think the next entry point would be at Sunset Point and heading let's see what we're going south now, so it'd be south from there. And I don't know, if I want a longer hike, I may go farther and be able to get the entire hike in, or half of it. Point is, if you do half, you have to go back one way or the other, so you might as well do the whole thing. In which case I would have to cross the road back there. There's a slight breeze. I think maybe if I could get more of a breeze in here, it might help with the mosquitoes. Worse flying conditions. Maybe if I go fast enough. Fast as the flash. Got a call from a friend on the way back yesterday, and he said I sounded happy, sounded stress-free, and so that's a good sign. I really enjoy coming out here and being in nature. Kind of steep down there, a lot of rocks on my left on the east side. Still not really a view. It's not really a view from this trail, as you might think. Texted a guy I used to work with who retired a couple of weeks ago. Showed him where I was. He said the only thing that he reported was the fact that he didn't really know what day it was. He said, "Is this Tuesday?" So he guessed right. Crossing another trail here. I don't know which one. Guessing that sign probably just says it's the Bench Road Trail crossing. Oh no, it's Miller's Goat. Yeah, we crossed Miller's Goat yesterday, so must be quite a meandering trail. Have to look that up for maybe a future visit. I probably mentioned in the Cabin 5 video that which was 4/17, 2 days ago now. The Cabin 5 had changed in at least one detail, and that is the wood burning fireplace has been replaced with what looks like some kind of heater, which I couldn't turn on. I just wanted to see if I was able to operate it, but any button I pushed, the display just said off. So maybe there's a master off switch that they can throw to prevent that heater from being used. Or maybe it goes along with the main thermostat. I don't know. That's what reminded me of that was thinking about a future visit, because the Cabin 5 was previously my favorite cabin. I don't know. The wood burning fireplace was a big attraction for me to any cabin, and so not having that may change things. Of course, they may have changed that in all the cabins. Who knows? I'll definitely have to ask before I come here next time and see what the deal is there. Maybe able to get another cabin with a real fireplace. Maybe not. But I still like the fact that it's kind of more isolated, I think, than any other cabin, except maybe what used to be 70, the A-frame house. I'm not sure what that's the new number for that one is, but I stayed there twice, and it was blocked off on either side by trees. This one has a cabin on the left side as you're facing the view, and trees on the right side. Pick up the pace a little bit on this long flat area. Plenty of dead trees. I don't really see this much. I mean, it's there, Lake Fayetteville. I suppose they don't do logging there or anything. But I think all this is important to the ecosystem. These dead trees provide whatever nutrients they still possess go into the soil and help new trees to grow. Good breeze here. Definitely helps with the mosquitoes. It's really hard to enjoy a hike when you're constantly slapping mosquitoes. Makes a nice resting bench if you need to rest. A little log from a tree. It's been cut up. Not sure how they moved these big logs out of the way. I have to bring some kind of tractor in here to do that. No little cart is going to do that for them. I was thinking yesterday that maybe they just cut them up into small enough pieces that a man could handle them. but they're bigger pieces. I can see them along the side of the road now. So I haven't seen any horses here, so I'm assuming there's some kind of machinery that does that. You could do it with a horse. Or two. Mosquitoes are courageous. They have no fear of death. They attack a large animal and they'll just usually get killed while they're sucking the blood. They have to sit there sucking blood. And I slap them, and now my arms are covered with dead mosquitoes, and they still keep coming. If I saw a battlefield full of dead humans, I might try to avoid it, unless it was absolutely necessary to crawl over them. Survival makes us do desperate things. Oh, there's a very slowly bubbling stream, perfect breeding ground. Some stagnant areas, perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes. It's interesting, looks like a kind of paved area coming up ahead, paved with rocks. And it's a bridge. Somewhere along the trail is what they call a seasonal waterfall. I don't think it's on this section of the trail. I think it's over on the west side. But this is some kind of formation. And a rather steep decline on the way in. Doesn't seem like that time has passed, but we're already 45 minutes into the trail here. And I'll show you this little stream coming down the rocks. And it's a very small stream, but it has cut a path. This water is very powerful. And in between the rocks, you don't have to jump from rock to rock, you can just step. It's, like I said, it looks paved. This is Dickens Spring. Dickens Spring provided drinking water to the nearby Summit Park Hotel. A system of pipes and pumps moved the spring water up to the summit of the mountain. Access to water has always played an important role to the residents and visitors of Mount Nebo, and the springs were the first substantial sources of water for the people here. I remember when I first made my first hike here around the Rim Trail, the first hike of some distance, I actually drank from one of those water sources. Gum Springs, Mount Nebo's many springs, were improved by the residents of the Bench during the 1880s. The Neapolitans spent their money building pavilions and stonework around the springs. Wildfires over the course of the years destroyed the pavilions. And this is the Gum Springs Waterfall Trail. I don't see a waterfall here, but it's got to be somewhere, I don't know. It seems to me it was at the southwestern section, but could be wrong about that. I don't know. The trails seem to wander all over. And finally, campsite number 4, which looks to be a relatively large clearing, a picnic table, 2 picnic tables, and plenty of room, and a fire pit in the middle with a couple of stones you could sit on. Very nice. And only a 45-minute walk in from the parking lot. Haven't seen any campers today. Foresters, people who cut down trees, are able through technique to determine which way they're going to fall almost exactly. I saw someone cut down a tree once that went through, fell exactly in a space right between 2 houses. So if there's a dead tree nearby, you can probably preemptively cut it down so that it doesn't hit the trail and you don't have to cut it up and bring in whatever equipment is necessary to move the pieces around. Starting to get a little tired. I think there's been more up and downs here on this side of the trail. Again, we're going south on the Bench Road Trail on the east side of the mountain. Really feeling this 91% humidity out here. Probably not sweating as much as I was yesterday, possibly due to slightly cooler temperatures. We did have some light rain yesterday after I got back. Maybe some overnight. I noticed the front porch was wet this morning, but the back porch was dry. I guess that was true last evening too, when I was able to do my second cookout of the trip. I think the rest of my cooking is going to be in the kitchen. And of course, I'm only cooking 1 meal a day. The rest is coming out of a bottle. This actually feels kind of nice here. There's a slight breeze. Can't even see it in the trees. And it's still pretty cool. Couldn't say for sure. My watch is not going to be accurate. It says 68 degrees, but I can't. It doesn't have connection. It only seems to work when I have a Wi-Fi connection, which doesn't make sense. It should work whenever it's able to connect to my phone, but I have not been very good at figuring this watch out since I got it. I do know I did about 4,700 steps yesterday, which seems kind of low considering I went on a 2-hour hike, but I guess I'm making fewer steps than I would on a Lake Fayetteville or Spring Creek Trail where everything's level. That's a big rock right there. Huge. So I got out here about 20 minutes after sunrise. Still not terribly bright. Yesterday it was so overcast that my automatic lights on the truck came on my drive back to the cabin. But the sun did come out later in the day for a little bit. And I did see some hikers going past my house on the rim trail, going past my cabin. Because the rim trail is something you can just walk down from those cabins, the view cabins, and start there. So, you know, I did that from, I think, cabin 65 one time. And I went a little bit in either direction, not too far, certainly not an hour. But we could do that again from a different cabin and you'd get a different view. Although I think that time didn't get video except maybe some of me. And crossing another trail here. Miller's Goat Trail again. Zigzags. And joins this trail quite a bit. This one you have to, Miller's Goat Trail, you have to go along the Bench Road Trail. And it looks like there's another lake coming up. This looks a lot like the other lake we saw yesterday when we were going the other direction. There's a wet spillway barely moving here, going under the trail. The rest of it is pretty stagnant. Fern Lake. Year is 1889. You are one of 150 guests at Summit Park Hotel on top of Mount Nebo. It is a hot June day. How do you cool off? A plank and a rock walk leads you from the mountaintop to the edge of Fern Lake. Fern Lake is too shallow for swimming, but canoes and paddle boats carry well-dressed passengers over the clear, sunlit water. Gentlemen in white shirts with detachable collars and cuffs wear flat-top boater hats, while the ladies wear long dresses of various colors and with buttoned-up collars. Their upswept hair is protected from the breeze by a hat. Girls in long smocks and boys in knee-length pants and wide-collared shirts play around the lake in springs. Beautiful gazebos cover the 3 springs around the lake. Each has comfortable seats, creating cool retreats where you can indulge in a favorite pastime, sipping the cool spring water and chatting with the other hotel guests. Research tends to indicate there was a heart-shaped lake, including a large wooden duck or swan in the center of Fern Lake. One reason for the construction of Fern Lake was to provide ice for resort guests. In winter, when the lake was frozen, large blocks of ice were cut and stored in an ice house near the lake. In summer, the ice was carried up the mountain for the guests. Sunset Point gazebo is typical of ones that would have been at Fern Lake. Carriages took guests from the Summit Park Hotel along the Bench Road to Fern Lake. Supposedly there was a hotel right here. Looks like a diving board over there, even though swimming was not allowed. I'm hearing sounds that could be animals or machinery. And here's where Miller's Goat continues downward. Not only does this look like the lake we passed yesterday, but the description is there as well. Even though it's for sure we're not on that trail, we're on the southbound trail today. So I don't know if they were mixed up or if they were just, seemed like unusual that both would have a heart-shaped island in the middle. But maybe they didn't want to make a new placard for this lake and just use the other one. So which one is Fern Lake? I don't know. Definitely sounds like an animal. I don't know. Definitely don't want to come into contact with any bears along here. I suppose it could be a very large duck or goose. I don't know if you can hear it on the recording here. So we're coming to the end of our hour outbound. So I hope you've enjoyed this trip down the south part of the loop on the east side from the parking area on the Bench Road Trail at Mount Nebo State Park. And I hope this 2025 visit to the park has been enjoyable for you. I likely won't be hiking anymore on this trip. We may continue the Bench Road Trail if we come here again. But until then, keep the fever if you got it. If you don't, catch the fever. And I will see you next time on Running a Fever.